Alright everybody, welcome back to Citizen Sleeper. JP the third with you for VNs now. And we've got a hell of a roll. We are ready to get started in this cycle. Surely this will all be good things. Surely. Not even. Let's see what happens. Huh. Let's start with Sabine, shall we? I hope she isn't here to screw us over. 4 cycles, Sabine said, and here you are. Right on time with no sign of them. You wait a while in the apartment, the dread descending as the cycle spins onward. They should be here. You pace back and forth around the apartment. The rumbling of the station suddenly so present and loud. You go to the door and open it to an empty corridor. You close it again. You check and double the terminal for messages or recordings. Nothing. Just a pale glow. The silence. Excuse me, I just ate. So my esophagus is catching up. You try to settle down to wait. You sit on the bunk and stare out at the tiny room. Where the hell are they? I knock at the door. Who is this? A figure stands in the door and immediately you know it's not Sabine. They are taller, sharper, and something in their face glints in the half-light. A dark shape, like a stubby baton hangs. A sharp, dark shape, like a stubby baton hangs loosely from her hand. She's with Yatagan. A local sleeper. Good to finally meet you. She steps into the apartment, glancing around with sharp eyes. What, may I ask, are you doing here? She fixes you with a steady, unwavering stare. Nothing. She laughs. No need to get jumpy. We just need to discuss our mutual friend. She walks past you into the apartment, glancing around. We set them up here, you know. This place is one of ours. She picks up a glass from the dispenser and inspects it. People always seem to forget who put them where they are. She glances at you. And I suppose you are here to help? A lie here could go a long way. No. What then? An opportunist? Even better. She spins the baton on her fingers by her side, her eyes not leaving yours. We have a problem, you and I. It seems our friend has disappeared, left without even saying goodbye, which means they're in a little trouble now. But it's the kind of trouble that you need help for, so I thought I'd come down here to take a look at their little hidey hole, and here you are, the help. She looks through the detritus on the side. And what help? A sleeper no less, which I have to admit is a little surprising. It suggests to me that our friend hasn't been very honest with you either. What do you mean? Well, I'm sorry to report, before we got them set up here, Sabine was working for your owner, she pauses. S&R. You blink hard at the news, unsure of how to take it. Rabia looks away, waiting for a response. Prove it. Happily. She crosses into the next room, and you follow silently. She sits at the terminal and touches her baton to one of the access points. Then a terminal screen skips, encrypted folders emptying themselves before your eyes. In a flicker of files, you see S&R letterheads and code forms, reports laden with medical data, marked with some corporate logo like the sigil of some cult. Rabia steps back away from the terminal. Look all you want, some of your files may even be here. The volume of documents is overwhelming, but they seem to be mostly reports on early emulation tests, survey with sleeper candidates, reams and reams of usage data. If Sabine was an S&R employee, why did they help you? Rabia reaches over and places a vial of stabilizer on the desk, breaking your concentration. It shimmers in the screen light, its viscous, clear liquid crystalline within the glass. We will, of course, keep the supply. We are more than able to dispense important medicines, even without the doctor. You hold it between your fingers, and for a tiny moment you have the urge to crush this object for the power it has over you. I'll ask Shiro to make those a little cheaper for you. He'll be running the surgery now. Rabia closes up the briefcase lab and holds it out her side. We have to retrieve our assets, of course, but I'm sure you'll understand. Rabia turns on the way out. There's no reason for us to be enemies, sleeper. Come see me. I keep an office nearby. We have good work to do, you and I. Meet me there in a few cycles. She slips out silently into the corridor. You look around the apartment and feel the fear drain out of your body to reveal the tiredness beneath. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think Sabine was lying to us. But there is a question of how much we can actually help her. We have a few cycles before we have to go to Rabia, which I'm assuming we do have to do, so let's just take a breath on that one for now. Got a couple of jobs we can do at least. I need some scrap. If nothing else, I will help Lem and Mina. We'll leave the rest of that there. They've put it from 100 to sheer numbers to disperse a dispensary out of the block. Guides you as you approach. There's no sign of Sabine. Yeah, we're gonna have to live with that, I suppose. We'll hold out for her as long as we can, but she's got to show up. This job. This job is just going to take the time it takes. I think that's some stuff I can do in low end at least. We'll risk it. No dice. We'll try again in the next cycle. Alright. Not what I meant to do. Not what I meant to do. There we go. We got there eventually. Jeez. That took a chunk out, didn't it? Oh yeah, I need to get a completed ship mind. That is its own struggle, frankly. Ethan. What do you want? The compressor is quiet today. The usual crowds are elsewhere, and the pumping music washes over a handful of spaces and a few drunks. Ethan is still in the same stool in the same pool of light. His head is low, close to the bar, and the bartender is ignoring him. Ah, let's... As you get close, he lifts his head and turns. Sleeper, he turns to look at you. Time to pay up again, is it? He gestures at the bartender. Come here, take their chips. The bartender ignores Ethan. It seems they've cut him off. Hey, he slams a hand on the bar. Come take the chips! The bartender ignores him. Ethan lets out a huge sigh, rubbing his eyes with his palms. He reaches towards his holster. His elbow slips and the gun tumbles out. It clatters onto the bar and falls to the floor, bouncing on the ground between you. Both you and the bartender look at the gun. Stare at it. Butterfinger, says Ethan, and puts out a hand, beckoning for you to give him the gun back, if you would. The bartender looks at you warily. You crouch down to pick up the gun. We have to remember with this character, literally, he wants the chase. He wants some kind of high out of this. As satisfying as it would be to shoot him, I hurt him more by not being a target. I hurt him so much more. You slap the handle of the gun back into Ethan's hand. Thank you, he hisses. Now where was I? He lazily swings the gun past you and the bartender. Yes, leaving. He stands. Sleeper, while this has been fun, I think I've wrung every last drop out of this place. Time to go home. He waggles the gun towards the door. Let's go see us an ARP. I'm staying. Ethan brings his gun hand to his face and rubs his eye. Well, he says, the bounty pays half, but levels the gun. Up to you, and he pulls the trigger. The gun clicks. By now, all the attention in the bar is on you and Ethan, who looks at his gun with a bemused expression. The bartender raises an open hand, and in it are 10 shiny bullets. 10 shiny bullets he took out of Ethan's gun while he was asleep on the bar. Ethan smiles at him. Oh well, he said, and hits you in the head with the butt of the gun. You stagger back and drop to a knee. Somewhere nearby, the gun clatters onto the surface. The hit is a glancing blow, but it makes your vision swim. Through the blur, you see Ethan wrestle a small, thin slate from his belt and hold it up. Enough of this. I'm logging the job and calling it in. Ethan taps the slate. No more playing. Your head aches. Ethan taps through a few screens impatiently. He swears and taps again. He starts shouting, a dull echo to your ringing ears. He starts screaming at the slate and throws it across the bar. He crouches down and grabs you by the chin. His face closed, his breath heavy with drink. SNR just screwed me, he grins maniacally. They canceled the contract. See? And that's the thing with him. Like, you hurt him so much more by basically just playing along. He stands up. They canceled the contract! He shouts at the ceiling of the compressor. You stand up, struggling to your feet, the sting of the hit fading. Ethan is rubbing his temples, his face pale. You hear a clicking sound, like coins being counted, like bullets being loaded into a magazine. When you shake off the last of the blur, the bartender has Ethan pistol trained on Ethan's head. Ethan stumbles back towards the middle of the room, all eyes trained on him. I'll kill all of you, he screams. He stumbles into the wall, spinning away towards the door. I'll be back for that, he shouts at the bartender and lunges out of the compressor. You steady yourself on the bar and catch your breath. The rumble of conversation returns. The bartender goes to say something, but they think better of it and begin to clean the bar. After a while, you wander out into the light of the bright market, looking for Ethan around every corner. Yeah. If I had tried to point a gun at him or pulled the trigger, it would reveal that it was empty well before then, and he wouldn't have been caught off guard. So, I think I made the right call. He can do whatever. He'll be back. He can do whatever he wants. Ethan may be the son, but yeah. He'll keep trying to track me, but good luck, boyo. Come on, big money, big money, big money. Nope. A little bit more money out of it. I'd rather make it the 100% positive actions, at least for now. There you go. And we're done. She's asleep, whispers Lem, creeping back out of the unit's tiny bedroom, slamming the door shut as he does. You're perched at the thin bar in the main room, the slate in front of you still glowing with Mina and yours drawings from a cycle spent together. There's a ring, the only world Mina has known, with stick figures standing along its edge. The tall one is you. Drink? Asked Lem, producing a warm-looking bottle of Griolle from under the bar, its contents glowing amber in the fluorescent light. Sure. Lem nods and gloves a few fingers into a couple of metal tumblers, then sits down with you at the bar. Cheers, he offers, and you click the metal containers together. You know, we actually have something to celebrate this time around. Lem gives you a sideways look. I made the assembly team on the side reel. He grins broadly, clearly has been desperate to tell you all cycle. Knew it. Lem holds up his drink. You did get there first, friend. I'll give you that. He looks away. Seriously, though. Couldn't have done it without you keeping an eye on little meanie back here. Lem shifts a little on his stool. He looks uncomfortable. How's our girl doing, Sleeper? I haven't seen much of her these past few cycles. She misses her father. Lem looks away. Yeah. He says to no one in particular. The silence stretches out as Lem takes a drink. His eyes fixated on the bedroom door. She's great. He nods. I can't take all the credit for Mina. She isn't actually mine. He gazes into the middle distance. I pulled her off of a refugee shuttle out by one of Ember's moons. The colony was falling apart for decades after Solheim collapsed, surviving on next to nothing. Eventually, some of the residents tried to make for the eye on these decrepit old shuttles. He sloshes his drink around in the tumbler. They had no idea what they were doing. The one Mina was on decompressed halfway here. Everyone's spaced. The only reason she made it was someone sealed her in the weapons locker. She was ice cold when I reached her. Purple lips, he shivers. Once I picked her up, I wouldn't let go. The medics treated her with me still clinging to her. He takes a drink. Still not sure why. Reaches over and refills his cup. We weren't exactly anyone's heroes, you understand? We were private military, hired in by Conway to protect their claims in a collapse. Well, once I got Mina, that was it. I quit. Got it stumped her. Got it stumped here. He saved her. I'm going to sound like an idiot now, but, he sighs, she saved me. That's the truth of it. He looks around the decaying unit, its stained plastic plating and flickering lights. Me. I brought her to this. She was tiny. Too small to know what she lost, but I can't stop thinking about it. He rubs his eyes, dark with tiredness. What if our number doesn't come up in the straw sleeper? What then? The side wheel will sail off without a thought, leaving us here. What kind of life is that for her? You'll make it. Sorry. I know you don't have it any better. He looks at his cup and pushes the weight on the bar. This is a celebration, right? Both of us on the team now. Both of us in with a chance. Together. That's right. We'll hold on together. Imagine all three of us riding the sidereal horizon out of here to a new world. He looks into his glass for a moment. I think I drank this too fast. Lem stands and starts to clear the glasses into the auto wash. I need some sleep, friend. See you around. Alright then, he catches your shoulder as you turn to leave. Thank you, sleeper. I mean it, from the both of us. He pats your shoulder and you slip out of the dark on the walkway with thoughts of little Mina in your mind. We got a couple of upgrade points. We're going to have to use them. Game, I will say this now. Nothing better happened to her. Or him. I will flip a table if something happens to either of them. Nah, it's not worth the risk. Trying to do the upgrades at least. Yeah. Self-repair will go a long, long way, but I'll need some more scrap for that. Why not? Yeah. Alright. Well, we will call that a cycle then. We need to eat. Let's go correct that, shall we? Feng's ready too. Food first. There we go. Now let's see what Feng's up to. As you're aware, Feng comes striding towards you, taking you by surprise. Let's go, sleeper. He puts a hand on your shoulder and turns you back the way you came, following him. He steps into the passageway, guiding you downrange towards the shipyard. Sorry for the hurry, but we have something of an opportunity. The data you ripped, well done by the way, he grins, tells me hard and is making a rare inspection of the sidereal horizon this cycle. It's a perfect chance to confront him outside of that compound he hides in. Feng takes a sharp look onto the dimly lit side passage. Confront him. That's right, it's the perfect time. Feng slows and slips into a dark service tunnel where, somewhere in the black, a water pipe drips. It's him, Sleeper. It's the same Harden Hurst. Our worm ripped out decades of records that mention him by name, an entire trail of documentation from the first days of the Solheim collapse until now. He wrote out the whole thing, slipped into Havenage when it first broke off from the Union. He paces in the tunnel, a hand rubbing at the back of his head. I need you to understand something about Solheim, Sleeper. I don't know what you know about the collapse, but it wasn't as instant as it sounds. It wasn't like Solheim was here, running the station one day, and the next Erlin's Union took power. Excuse me. Back then, Solheim knew this place was slipping away from them. As the Palladium market collapsed, they tried to keep the contractors here working. The pay got smaller, the cost higher. People like my parents were forced to work nonstop just to keep a berth on the station and water in their tanks. Solheim squeezed every last worker until the mistakes, the accidents, were coming in nonstop. And as a new wave of contractors came in desperate for work, Solheim welcomed them, taking bribes instead of checking pilot licenses. The whole time Solheim was folding up, dragged into court cases in the central systems, while the severed limb of a station still desperately tried to take all it could. The rise came after the collision at Dock 2. A young pilot, his MEV overloaded with palladium, miscalculated his trajectory and took out a section of the ring. Hundreds died, thousands panicked. My parents told me people were terrified, and the blame fell squarely on Solheim. People like to tell stories about Erlin, how he brought the factions together, spoke to the crowds, turfed out Solheim. Maybe that's true. But my mother, pregnant with me, locked herself in their MEV and welded it to the docks while my father joined the improvised crews trying to seal up the ragged edges of the gap. He never came back. Feng paused in the dark. They sealed it up, though, and by the time they did, Solheim was gone, abandoning every one of us to the black, apart. Feng finally turned back to you now, his eyes burning, from ships like Harden. Ships who held their place, rolled it out, and slipped into the new structure like nothing had changed, standing shoulder to shoulder with those they exploited at every step. Feng starts walking again. That's why I can't just let him strut about the shipyard. This time the past catches up with him. How's he still alive? Clearly you don't know much about executives. That kind of power comes with certain benefits. Feng rejoins the main passageway, which is now wide and glass roof. Through the ceiling you can see ships in mid-construction, their flanks lit by flashes of plasma torches. Entrance to the shipyard is ahead. Let's go. Feng grins. Let's go show this shit has some consequences. He strides to the shipyard entrance and pushes through the doors. A web of corridors leads through the complex. Snatches of the construction bays always appearing through windows. Ships are suspended like whale corpses, skeletal and posing. Feng seems to know exactly where he is going, and before long you cross into a huge dry dock locked to one side of the side rail horizon. A network of platforms and scaffolding cling to the ship's hull, filled with workers and equipment. The sound is stretched out by a vast base so that the welding, cutting, and sealing seems to come from everywhere at once. Both you and Feng spot them at the same time, a group walking slowly across a gantry, and at the front, two men, one gesturing towards the ship and the other, stick-thinned, cleanly dressed, with a shock of gray hair. Harden. You and Feng say his name in unison, and Feng sets off up the staircase to the gantry, with you following behind. As you come to the same level, the group is passing closer, the foreman is gesturing to the work being done throughout the dock, and Harden nodding along. Harden Hurst! Feng shouts across the noise, taking you by surprise. His voice bounces and comes back in a rippling echo. The figures turn. Yes? Harden asks quizzically, raising an eyebrow. He glances between you and Feng, and you see his gaze linger on your body, unsure of why a sleeper might be in this place. You're a traitor, Harden, a Solheim executive who tried to hide here among his victims. Feng's voice is steady, strong. You stand for everything the Eye was rebuilt in the shadow of, against everything Erlin stood for, everything Havenage stands for. You have no place on the station. For a moment, stillness descends on the group, as if everyone was held in place by the rattle of construction. Harden laughs. Well, good to meet you too. He glances around at those around him. Some are smiling, the others are nervous. You're from the systems branch, are you not? Asked Harden, inspecting Fang's clothing. Fang turns to the foreman. You need to call your security. This man is a corporate agent. The foreman glances between Fang and Harden, his hand drumming at his thighs. Harden leans in towards him and says something inaudible. The foreman nods. It's true. As you begin speaking, Harden turns his attention to you. And what would a sleeper know about that? You accuse me of being a corporate agent? What are you if not exactly that? He lurks around the group who are already eyeing you with suspicion. You're a product of SNR. You have no place in the Haven shipyard. Who knows what signals you are sending back to your makers? A murmur of approval runs through the group. Fang holds up a stick of memory. You guessed right. I am systems. And I have records that link you directly to Solheim right here. He turns to the foreman again. So once again, I'm asking you to take this man into the custody of the shipyard. The foreman remains still. Harden's voice is calm, measured. If you have such data, why hasn't it been submitted at a members' meeting for a proper review? He shakes his head. I have nothing to hide, and like a man who does not announce his name, who enters my shipyard with corporate property in tow, and tries to turn my own men against me. You hear it now, the echoing sound of boots on the walkway, coming from all angles at once, and then settling behind you. Please, said Harden, submit the data through the correct channels, then we can talk. For now, however, you must leave. He gestures behind you to the security detail, their hands on boxy black sidearms at their side. Fang spits. Harden, you shithead. You can't wriggle out of this one. A security officer draws their weapons and levels it. Fang turns and stares him down. You look at Fang and he shakes his head and puts a hand on your shoulder. Let's go, says Fang, and he pushes towards security, hanging back down the walkway. When security has walked you out of the shipyard and nudged you back into the corridor, Fang picks up the pace. Try to keep up as he slips to a shadow of an entrance. Fang is grinning in ear. You know, Sleeper, sometimes people are exactly how you expect them to be. Something pings in his pocket, and he takes it out. On the slate, a web of connections start pointing itself out, stretching to a set of points around the ring. Got him, mutters Fang. What's going on? Harden's doing what any snaky shithead always does, calling his friends. We're tracking his outgoing messages. Fang's grin looks ghostly in the uplight of his screen. The old ways are the best. Spook them good enough and they'll give the game away. He jabs at the slate, and you see the web is being drawn on the map of the ring, lines bouncing from point to point. All these dots, these are Harden's buddies, the ones he's messaging right now, and we're going to find them all. That was on purpose? Of course. Harden isn't working alone. We need a full set or nothing. Fang glances around and slips the slate back into his pocket. We better split for now, Sleeper, but this is exactly what we need. Good hunting. With a pat on your shoulder, Fang drifts away, back into the flow of people around the shipyard entrance. You watch him go, unsure whether to be angry or impressed. A little angry, not gonna lie. But he's not gonna stop in his revenge. He's just gonna keep going. Let's see. We can't keep Rabia later. Rabia. I said Rabia. Could be Rabia. No, we can't keep her waiting forever. We'll just keep her waiting for now. Hopefully this lets me be alone when they're full-throated. I think we're good. So we've unlocked Caster, a data fence. You cross between two walls of units, one of the cavernous, streets at the center of low end. The pressurized bridge is full of the clack of Tavla, the shouts of children, the whir of air filters. Sleeper, you turn to see a man sitting at the Tavla table alone. I was thinking poker. It's backgammon, but fair enough. Somehow untouched by the hustle and bustle of people around, he gestures to the stool on the opposite side of the table. Sit. You sit at the metal stool, and he starts setting out the board with counters, or at least the filter caps Filter caps low enders typically use in their place. Caster, he says by way of introduction, looking over his glasses. Night or day, he asks, gesturing at the caps, crudely sprayed white and black. Night. He nods. The black counters are already on your side. Let's begin. You take a plastic die each, pitted and worn, and roll to determine who starts. Caster rolls a 6, you 4. I lead, he smiles and begins to move his first cap precisely along the board. Play passes back and forth between you, the dice changing hands as the caps spread along the board. As it does, Caster speaks, eyes not leaving the caps. It's unusual to see a sleeper on the eye. That's why I wanted to play you. You take your roll, rolling a 5 and a 6. After all, the sleeper's mind must be somehow different to a human one. Being emulated, I mean. As Caster talks, you build up a wall of caps, taking them safely across the board. Progress is slow, but you remain unexposed. I don't mean to offend you, Caster meets your eye. I merely see that you are by definition different. What has been subtracted in the emulation? What has been added? He slides a single cap onto an open point, a risk and an opportunity. He hands you the dice. Do you ever think about the sleeper? About what you were before and what you are now? Ugh. All the time, according to the game. You roll a double 1 to solidify your wall. Caster whistles. The holding game. Commendable. It can be brave to build from what came before. He rolls the dice and leaps your wall in a single move. We cannot idle too long, sleeper. The slower we move, the sooner we are caught. The past you is not just an idea, a concept for you. It is a living, breathing person. He looks up over his glasses, his eyes bright and wide. You split from them like a shadow splitting from its caster. They may be sleeping now, yes, but one day they will awake and carry on with their lives unaware of your fate, no matter what it may be. He hands you the dice, smiling. You're a branch severed from the main trunk, an offshoot who refuses to die, so to speak. You roll again under pressure now, trying to slip your cast from under Caster's before he solidifies control of the game. So what I'm curious about is how you see yourself in all this, Caster asks. What does the tangle of truth make to you? Caster laughs. That much is obvious, sleeper. I see it in your eyes. You're eager to make all this count for something. Caster looks away. Through the glass to the crowded units on the sides. Driven towards what? He starts removing the caps. His home board now full. Is there an in here, or just endurance? You try a few more rolls, attempting to get back in the game, but Caster clears his home board with a sense of the inevitable. You have known he was winning for a while. I feel I may have pushed too far. He slides another cap from the board. I apologize. My curiosity has a habit of getting the better of me. You roll to return a cap to the board, but all the spaces are blocked. Caster claps his hand apologetically. You play well, really. Your weakness is not your game. He smiles warmly. We have much to learn from each other. He slides his glasses back up his nose and sits back. I feel we could share knowledge, ideas, perhaps even data. His eyes glint with the last word. To our mutual benefit. He slides his final cap from the board. It is over. He has won. I'll see. Please, I don't want to make you uncomfortable. He holds up his palms. My intention is only to help you endure here. And if I am able, feed my curiosities. The game is over. You notice the bustle of the walkway once more. The call of the children, the deliveries, the arguments and reconciliations. They wash over you as you stand and leave. Caster nods, nodding goodbye as you do. Crossing the walkway, you replay the moves of the game in your mind, looking for an opening you are sure was there. He's going to be an interesting one. Oh. Okay. And that's how we get the ship mine. We get it through him. It's probably going to be a complete piece of crap, but it'll do. Rabia. As you approach the address Rabia gave you, a heavy hand falls on your shoulders. What's your business here? The force grips your shoulder, giving you a hint of the strength her implants give her. As you turn, you see the same subsidiary eyes as Rabia and Tashira, glinting like mirrors on her cheeks. Gia, please, the sleeper is here at my invitation. At Rabia's command, the hand immediately loosens, and an apologetic look replaces the scowl on Gia's face. Of course, Rabia, I'm sorry. Rabia waves away. Don't you worry, I appreciate your protective instincts. She smiles at the enforcer. How about you head to the tambour? They have a delivery coming, and they'll need some help with the lifting. Gian nods and walks away. So, Sleeper, you came. I'm glad. I was curious. Curious is good. She smiles a tight smile. You have to understand, finding you there in Sabine's unit, I wasn't sure where we stood. There were more than a few people on this station that would rather I was dead. I had to make sure you weren't one of them. I wish you no harm. I'm glad. Rabia begins walking and gestures for you to walk with her. She takes you down the staircase into the bustling walkways of the low end. What do you know about Yatagan? You run the low end. She laughs. That sounds impressive. We run out of the low end, yes. We don't run it. People with carts push past, moving crates of supplies out around the thin and winding passages. Our reputation is one that implies threat. Is that fair to say? We're framed as aggressors, parasites, criminals. She gestures around at the people in the passageway. But when was the last time you saw lawmen on the eye? A policeman. Who makes the laws here? Erlin did. Indeed. You understand the history then. That is good. But Erlin is long dead, Sleeper, and his rules were little more than an optimist manifesto. They have changed so much since then. If you had spent your time in the low end, maybe your opinion of us would be different. This is our place, our people. The low end was empty in Erlin's time. They didn't need to house thousands and keep the yards and the rotunda safe. And keeping the yards and the rotunda safe was work enough. No, the low end was reclaimed later, when the refugees started arriving. Rabin meets your eye. The collapse didn't just happen here on this station. When Solheim collapsed, the entire system felt it. Colonies were abandoned. The moons of Ember and Cinder suddenly gained independence overnight. Some took advantage. Some tried to hold it together. Some fled. The eye became a refuge, and Erlin, to his credit, extended an open hand to everyone. But many within his organization disagreed, and those who were rivals weren't as simple to corral as they hoped. Rabia leads you through a small market hall, busy with small stalls and traders. We got there eventually. Yeah. Erlin's union was made of workers, administrators, people who were malleable and already organized into hierarchies and networks. The refugees came from different factions and families, were scared, injured, desperate. Conflict was inevitable. Yatagan is the child of that conflict, a child born out of the need for us to stand up and claim our future, to provide security, strength. People call us a gang, but we are a community. I take my position as lieutenant seriously, and from my birth I have worked to earn it. Rabia catches herself before she raises her voice any further, and you both walk in silence for a while. I'm going to smell the textures of the low end. Start to wonder if this place could become a home for you too. Where's Sabine? Rabia sighed and takes a moment to answer. I told you, Sleeper. They have gone, and we do not know where. I understand Sabine must have told you about their debts to us, but that was an agreement entered into willingly and which benefited them greatly. I will be honest with you, Sleeper. I was never comfortable with having Sabine as part of Yatagan. And as corporate employee, it goes against our nature. But their deal was with Yannick. I kept my distance, made sure Sabine had their surgery, kept it supplied. That was all. But I can't allow people to go back on the promises they have made to us. Yatagan has not lasted this long because it is a charity. We offer and ask for support. Any betrayal will be treated as an attack. They're trapped, desperate. Many on the IR Sleeper. I'm sorry, but we must have said our debts be paid in full. I don't trust any of you. Rabia sighs. That is your right. I only wish to explain our actions. To speak for Yatagan. The rest of Rabia has let you in the loop, and together you both come back to the staircase to the walkway where you met. You're free to go, Sleeper. I have said what I wish to say. She looks out through the windows of the walkway. I will protect this place with my life, as it has protected me. I want to make that clear. She turns back. However, if you too wish to come under his protection, I can help you. Return if you wish, and there will be tasks for you to complete. You will be able to see Yatagan, to see the low end with your own eyes, not as others frame us. As for Sabine, she pauses to consider her worth. I will not ask you to betray them, but if they contact you again, consider their motivations carefully. With that, Rabia leaves, slipping back into her office, while you stare out at the countless units, each a home, each with a story that makes up the low end. That is interesting. I mean, Yatagan is a gang, but they're but they're also they're a faction as well as a gang. They're the closest equivalent I've got is the IRA, especially in comparison to the new order that came about from Erlin's revolution. Collecting tithes, huh? Operates on an in-kind basis. You're told tithes of goods or services must be collected. Yeah, they're a gang, but they just have political influence as well. Earn a little money. There you go. I need more Havenage data. Yatagan agent. Yatagan agent. I don't think there's any more Havenage data to get though. Or is there? The minute I do it though, I'm going to alert the hunter. Like, I'm going to have to be very cautious about this. Let's try haggling, let's see what happens. Alright. You call out the merchants and they react angrily. They won't be selling you anything this visit. Damn. Sometimes it's best to just pay what they ask. Buy some scrap. We need to get out of that container. No, sir. We're at the risk of this going terribly wrong. All right. Let's go. Alright, so that's all I got for now. Next time around, I think I'll just do the work and put in the money necessary to I'll put in the work necessary to get this derelict unit going. The sooner, honestly, the better. We also have to be very careful of these two factions. We don't want to get on either of their bad side, but at the same time, they both have something we need. And because I need a full deck to play with. There we go. And now that I've unlocked this perk for self-repair, I should be able to. The result isn't pretty. Like, if absolutely necessary, I can just get some scrap and do it that way. So, we'll see. I have to keep that in mind moving forward. I think that's enough for this session. A lot to chew on with our loyalties. I mean, initially Feng and Sabine seemed solid, but we may have to play this all a little bit more careful moving forward. It's just something to think about. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. Maybe it's not. Well, I almost messed up again. I may have something for you guys, though, on the old website fairly soon. Keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, I'll catch you in the next one.
Wait, actually, hang on. We don't have Lee quite yet. No, hang on. I'm gonna need you all to close your eyes. Okay? They better